Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. We're all smiles here. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 on Twitter handle, as you can see, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW and Alison McConnell. There's only one word for our mood this morning, guys, isn't it? Feeling champion, aren't we? Indeed.
I thought you were going to go buoyant.
Well, per many 1 from 2. Sean. Now, as we've done all week, just flag the fact that we have a new sponsor. Yay! And it's One Football. You can see the sponsorship there in the top right, sorry, top left, and the middle of the bottom of your screen. And it's the one-stop football shop for scores, news, lineups, transfer rumours, live streaming, match highlights, and much, much more. You can immerse yourself in the digital football world and log on to the best personal digital experience around. Just log on. Download the One Football app, and the description is in the link. And also, as you see running along the bottom, still doing the deal. It's £3 for 3 months if you hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the Celtic Way, www.co.uk/subscribe. Alison, Celtic are the champions. Wonderful achievement.
Yeah, I think it was just about getting over the line. I think they would probably ideally have liked a better performance. I thought it was a kind of odd display at Tannadice, but I think ultimately it was really just about delivering a title, getting over the line and making sure that it was won. And I think we've spoken about it extensively over the last few weeks, but I think given the chaos of the summer, given the difficulties at the start of the campaign, I think Celtic now find themselves in a position that few really might have envisaged at the start of the season.
Sean, your thoughts? We've been tracking it from day one. Initial scepticism gave way to optimism, and now just absolute euphoria and delight. It's been, he said himself, it was a unbelievable achievement. I kind of echo that.
It is. I kind of wee bit tongue in cheek said in my kind of reflective piece this morning that to call it a fairy tale or a miraculous turnaround or a unbelievable win was almost kind of doing it a wee bit of disservice. It was almost kind of tacitly undermining the actual amount of hard work and effort that's kind of went into it. But I can see why that's the kind of the words that are used, and in many ways it is accurate. But the way that Ange Postecoglou spoke last night, especially on the Tannadice pitch, but after it as well to you guys in the press room, you could feel the emotion in his voice. You could feel it in Callum McGregor's as well. Yeah. Tony Ralston's was just a total delight, I think, when he was on the pitch after it. But you can feel the weight of achievement, and I think it's probably fitting that the manager and the captain were the ones that you could feel it most in when you were listening to them.
There was a wonderful moment when everybody had left, all the fans had left, and just a few people were in the press box typing up their stuff, and Ange was on the pitch himself. He had his phone, and I don't know if he was FaceTiming somebody back home or maybe even conducting an interview back home, and he was wandering around the pitch just himself and just sort of taking it all in. And it was, we were up, how the Tannadice press box is high, and you can look down on him, and he was just on the pitch alone with his thoughts and his phone or speaking to someone, but and he just seemed delighted, and he was just kind of looking around and taking it all in. And I think he wanted to savour the moment. And as he said, it's been his lifelong ambition to do that with a European club, Alison. If anybody didn't know him before the start of this season, they know him now.
Yeah, I thought he was quite emotional in the aftermath of it. I thought he spoke well. I think he does speak well. I think he endeared himself immediately with how he spoke. I think what you have is a very natural leader at the club. I don't think you can underestimate the magnitude or the scope of the job that he's done over the last 10 or 11 months. And I think he would have been entitled last night to that 5-10 minutes just to appreciate the magnitude of it himself, to get an opportunity just to reflect. And then, of course, I think going back to Celtic Park, I think that would probably have taken them aback, just the sheer numbers of people on a Wednesday night that turn out to greet the bus coming back from Tannadice. I think if you're not of these shores, I think there would be a surprise in that. I don't think that's something that you do get everywhere.
Indeed. Now, Sean, Alison was talking about that. I've written a reflective piece myself, an opinion piece, saying Celtic didn't just hire a manager, they hired a custodian. I think a lot of people would agree with that. He's more than a football manager, isn't he?
I agree with that. I think not just last night when you hear him talking about what it means and stuff, but the way that he conducts himself all season. Both of you have used the word statesman-like when you're talking about the way Ange Postecoglou deals with it, not just with the media, but basically everybody. And I think that's accurate. He very much comes across as a guy who is aware of not like his surroundings, aware of the history of wherever he is, aware of the impact that it can have and the fan base and everything. And I'm going to put up this comment from Frank Brennan, which probably is apt in considering the kind of things that Ange was saying about the club, the history, where he comes in that and all of that. I think that's a nice comment from Frank. But I mean, the one question I'd ask you is, and this is where it's maybe, well, give him 2 minutes to enjoy it. What now? Because Martin Davey right in there right away. Let's go build a team for Champions League football. He was asked about that right after the game, Tony. Yeah, and he did say, give me 2 minutes to just enjoy it. But he's been saying for the last few weeks he's never stopped thinking about next season already. Anyway, so
it was funny. He was asked the Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers question as well, right after I was the press boys last night, and he said the same. He says, "Let me enjoy this," but Alison, he said, "I'll think about that tomorrow." That's what he said. He says, "I'll think about that tomorrow." That doesn't surprise me that he said that.
I think the reality of life at Celtic and life at any big club is that there is actually precious little time to savour moments like that. I actually think it moves so quickly that you don't really, I think, appreciate what you've done probably until you get to the end of your career. I think the demands are such that you can afford yourself a day or two, and you maybe take a week off, 2 weeks off over the close season and have a think about it. But even then, I think the pressures and the challenges are fairly relentless. I think they do keep coming. I think there are always questions like that at Celtic. Where do you go next? How can you compete in the Champions League? What's your squad for next season? Who are you bringing in? Where do you need to strengthen? How do you retain your title? I think these are I think it's just a job. I think you don't tend to get an opportunity to sit back and savour the view, if you like. I think he will appreciate that more than anybody. I think it's his mantra that you saw on the T-shirts last night that you've heard all season. And I think even when you get there, there's another mountain that comes into view all the time.
I was going to say, like Sean's depth chart, all those questions that you asked, Ange will be like looking at them this morning, right? How do we do this? How do we do this? And he'll be checking them off, Sean, won't he? Because he doesn't stop. He clearly doesn't stop.
That he will be. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. That although he might have said, give me 5 minutes tonight, he has been saying for the last few weeks, especially given that the league has virtually been a foregone conclusion the last few games. That he's been saying that it's already been thought of in the background and things are in the works, and not just with Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers, but in general. So I've no doubt that Alison's correct that he will be. He already kind of thinking of that this morning, because you can't rest in your laurels at Celtic. Similar in the way that he said when he came in, he was in no doubt of the challenge that was in front of him, and that there would need to be some success as well as the rebuild, because otherwise people would kind of get antsy. It's just the nature of being at Celtic, as Alison says. As much as there was goodwill, and there was a lot of goodwill, despite the kind of Eddie Howe stuff before it, there was a lot of goodwill to Ange Postecoglou personally. If it continued in the vein that it did after the opening 6-7 games, you would have found that goodwill dissipating pretty fast, I would have thought. So Ange was very much aware of that. He said that, and subsequently it's easy to say that with 31 games unbeaten after it, but it just makes that more impressive to me. He was aware of that, and he'll be aware that there's no time to rest on the laurels, even if it is a 2-month rest between games.
There was also a wonderful tweet, Alison, from the UEFA and the Champions League saying, "Hello, Celtic." I don't know if you saw that or you caught that, but I thought that was a nice touch as well. But it just shows you kind of the magnitude of his achievement, that they are going straight in now, and they will be in the big boys' playground somewhere where he's determined to make his mark. You made reference to the mountain, and he's quoted as saying that's the next mountain that he wants to climb, and he fancies a bit of that. He said, that'll be us, that'll be next for us. He wants to compete at that level.
I don't think you can underestimate. I think we all know the environment that is and how demanding it is. I think Celtic's recent campaigns when they've been in the Champions League have been very sober affairs. I think it's fantastic to go in and you want to be in this kind of company. It's a very prestigious tournament and I think you want to be considered of that ilk, but it's not much fun, I think, when you're enduring a 90 minutes on the back of a 7-1 defeat or a 5-1 defeat, and you're taking your biggest home defeat in Europe in front of your own support. I think you want to go in and give a good account of yourself. I think realistically, people know where Celtic are, they know the finances, they know the capabilities of the club. But I think you should be looking to go and compete and try and bring in players that can help you do that. And I think the bonus now is that the real weight, the pressure that I think starts to build around June for Celtic when it comes to European qualifiers. You don't have that this season because I think those games can set a tone immediately for your season. I think
we've lost Alison temporarily, Sean.
The Gremlins again.
Yes, I think
I've got a couple of comments we'll put up anyway, but I mean, this is something that I probably didn't consider last night, but it's massive. Ozzy makes the point, he's paved the way for future Australian coaches. As far as I'm aware, he's the first Australian coach to win a top-flight European title. He just trailblazes everywhere he goes, really, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and he's won titles in Australia, Japan, and now Scotland. It's a fantastic treble. Personal treble.
And an international trophy as well, when you think on it.
Yeah, an international trophy. And you pointed out that was another treble, that the third time they'd won the league at Tannadice. 32nd, 42nd. Yes.
Aye, that was what I was doing up until about 3-4 in the morning last night. 32nd won 1981. Tommy Burns with the winner, 3-2 win. 2008, obviously, I've spoken about it plenty on here. I've got the feature online about the 7-game run and all that. Jan Vennegoor Hesselink with a header that day. And then last night, all right, it wasn't a match winner, but it was a title clincher with Yakimakis. So, that was another Tannadice treble.
Sorry, Alison, the Gremlins got you in mid-flow. Carry on from where you left off, if you can remember.
Yeah, I think I was just saying that essentially you want to be getting into that environment and competing. I think you want to go in and give a decent account of yourself. And you know that realistically, where Celtic are in that kind of company in terms of the finances and resources, I think you maybe have to wait and see what the group is and who you're paired with. But I think you have ambitions of maybe progressing out of the group.
Sean, he's ambitious. That's what he'll be thinking. Finishing the top two in the group, whatever teams they're paired with, you know, or whoever's in the group with them. But that's his ambition. That's what he wants to do with Celtic. You know, he said he fulfilled a lifelong ambition to win a title with a major, a world famous European club. He's did that, so he's ticked that box. So the next one is to make an impact in Europe, and he's not had his intentions with that.
No, he hasn't, and I don't see why not. I mean, Rabbick makes a fair point about the financial constraints on Scottish clubs and making an impact in the Champions League, which is an even bigger task than any of the other two European competitions. But there's certain ways you can try and level that playing field. It's not always the richest clubs that get out of a group. I'm not saying they'll go and win it or anything, but things like tactics, which is a massive part of why Celtic have won this title. So tactical identity, the wise spending of resources. It doesn't need to be a multi-million pound signing to make an impact. There's certain ways that you can kind of, if not level it, then certainly negate some of the financial disparities. But above all, he's going to want to get in and compete, as you say, Tony. That he's made no bones about that. He wants to make some waves when he's in Europe. He's made it in Scotland already, but that's the next kind of mountain that he talks about, isn't it?
Indeed. Now we'll focus on the one negative from last night, the result, Sean. Celtic won the League One each. They got the solitary point. Alison, it wasn't a great performance, as they kind of didn't burst through the tape exactly, kind of staggered over the finishing line, but they got there. But I think given the nature of the season, they'll allow that. And as Sean says, it's still 31 games unbeaten in the league.
Yeah, I think maybe there's a bit of nerves creeping into the performance. I think crucially it was just about getting over the line. I think in years to come, when you look back on it, you won't think about the performance, but rather just the delivering of a title, which I think was really the be all and end all. The only other negative I would have flagged up from last night was the singing. I thought it took a while for Celtic to celebrate the team, to celebrate the achievements of the team. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do without that you heard fairly vocally last night.
Yeah, indeed. Sean, you agree with that? The result, maybe not.
The result, it was. The result obviously was as David Bradley put, was the point that they needed. But the performance, again, I'll go back to ticking the column for the result and the performance. The result, it was actually the result that they needed. The performance wasn't great, to be honest. It was there was a couple of ones that stood out. Anthony Ralston obviously get man of the match, get the assist and stuff. There's a kind of breakdown on the Celtic Way Twitter account of his kind of underlying stats for the game and all that. But I'd agree with this comment for David Gillespie. The kind of rejigging the whole front three, I think, did make it a wee bit disjointed.
See, if he'd played our 11, Sean, they'd have won the game.
That's it. Perhaps it's
7 out of 11.
Perhaps it's only natural when you put in your second choice front three, but one of them still scored the winner. Or they scored the title clincher, and ultimately, I mean, at the start, I actually thought Celtic came flying out the blocks. Actually, I thought they made a good start. I thought James Forrest in the opening, all right, it was only the opening 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes, it was a driving across, a threatening pass to release O'Reilly, and then it was him that took the kind of smart, quick corner to O'Reilly as well. After that, he virtually did nothing, but he did start well. I thought Haggerty had a decent game, shooting boots aside. I thought he had a decent game, and I thought the defence played well for the most part as well. So it wasn't a great performance, but I'd agree with David Gillespie that the front kind of rejigging the whole front three made it a wee bit more disjointed than it otherwise might have been, I think.
Alison said it was all about the point, but 3 moments that stood out for me. The goal, obviously, but Anthony Ralston's Pirlo pass to Forrest in the opening. And there was a nutmeg from Matt O'Reilly that was just exquisite at one point. He just got a deft touch, Alison. Matt O'Reilly, but just and Sean Curran comes in and says that United's goal was a cracker. It actually was a good goal, to be fair.
It was a good goal.
Dylan Levitt, so
I thought he's impressed me actually at times. I've seen him a couple of times in the last few weeks, and he scored a couple of really good goals on loan from Man United.
Yeah,
scored a few really good goals.
Yeah, indeed. But no, you can't really find much fault when Celtic win the title, Sean. I mean, that's
no, you can't. I mean,
I'm not trying to find fault. I was just addressing it.
No, but I was saying to you, I was going to phone my mum about it, and she was saying, "Oh, but they didn't play well." I was like, "They won a title. I mean, what more do you want for the one night kind of thing?" But
there ain't no pleasing you. One of them, just in the background there. But there you go.
I mean, as Tim Anon says, no negatives on reclaiming the title. The performance, if it was ever going to be secondary, was probably going to be secondary last night. And I mean, I'm not saying it was awful. It wasn't great. That's why they drew 1-1 rather than 1. But they nonetheless clinched the title by doing so. So there is very little to complain about when you think on it in that way.
Alison, is it party time on Saturday against Motherwell then? Do you think that it'll be a right rocking atmosphere at Celtic Park and everybody will just be there to salute the achievements of the Celtic team this season?
Yeah, I think it's a party. It's a celebration at the weekend. I think it's bringing the championship back, parading it. I think, again, I would agree with Shaw. I think the performance on Saturday is a secondary aspect to the day. I think it's just about lauding the achievements of the season and celebrating the fact that they've clinched the title. Yeah,
I think it was I don't know who said it, but there was a great line that I heard the other day, Sean, that it took 10 years to lose the title, 10 months to reclaim it. That was very, very clever.
Frank Brennan, even he's not finding fault this morning, he says. Superb. Well done, Frank. Simon Thomas, I mean, that is the way to look at it. Didn't win, but more importantly, didn't lose. But they did win in a way when you think about it. But aye.
And Pete McGee comes in. I've got to get down to Specsavers soon because if Tony Ralston was man of the match, I must have something to say. I don't think we said Tony Ralston was man of the match. I picked out his Pirlo-esque pass.
No, but he did get man of the match.
Oh, did he get man of the match?
Yeah, got the Sky man of the match.
I wasn't aware. I didn't see the.
Who was your man of the match, Tory? I'm trying to remember your ratings now.
Who was my man of the match?
There was a couple get 8 out of 10, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, Cameron Carter-Vickers Starfield got 8 and Callum McGregor got 8 just because I think that's his kind of new name, Callum McGregor 8. .9, 10. They'll delete as applicable.
Right, I've got them here, Tony. Right, pick one of your 8 out of 10s as a man of match. So you gave Ralston 8, Carter Vickers 8, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor. That's all the 8s.
I
Who you giving it?
I will say Callum again, just because he's the
McGregor,
driving
fair
force
enough.
behind the team. So sorry, Pete, I didn't realise that Ralston had been given the Sky man of the match, so there you go. I thought Riley was good until he got taken off, and I highlighted that lovely nutmeg. He's just a baller, in my opinion. I think he's a wonderful talent and will improve with Celtic. Alison, it's just interesting now to see. We asked Matt O'Reilly as well, and he said he was excited for the future with this group of players because they're bonded so well under the manager, and they're all mates. I mean, genuinely good mates. He said that, there's no cliques, no nothing. They are genuinely good pals on and off the field. And he just says that can carry you a long way. And he's excited for the Champions League. He was just like, bring it on.
Yeah, I think there is a camaraderie within the squad. I think that's come through at times during the season. But I think particularly probably you would have to point to the fact that bringing in so many players, 16 players that Ange Postecoglou signed, for them to gel so quickly, I do think you need an openness in the dressing room. You need to get them to gel together quickly, and I think you've seen that it's been a successful element of this campaign to be able to integrate so many players so quickly. I think now they have the foundations of the side, they have the spine of the team that Ange Postecoglou wishes to play. The philosophy is clear. You're not starting this summer with the implementation of a new way of playing. It's maybe just about strengthening it. And I think there's a trust in the system. I think there's a trust probably in one another in terms of the players, that simply on the back of what they've done this season, I think it gives you significant credit in the bank. And I think there's a belief and a confidence within the squad that can help to sustain you. And you need more than that. If you're going to go and compete for trophies and compete in Europe, you need more than that. But it gives you a good base to build on.
Sean, I spoke about it before as well, bringing new players in, probably scouting ones that know how to play this system. That's the way he thinks, so there won't be an alien concept to him there. As Alison's just said, they're all comfortable with it now. So I think you'll be targeting players who are comfortable and have maybe played in that system, and will just walk in and that'll be seamless. That first team ready.
Unless they've played under him or someone like him, it's probably more the skill set to adapt to the system. Because I mean, when you look at the Mahana Giazzi that Celtic are linked with, it's not that he actually plays the inverted fullback role but he is comfortable enough on the ball when he is in those areas that doing it more often shouldn't necessarily be a problem, that kind of thing. But you've also got the likes of Daisen Maeda, who's recruited, who's literally played with him and knew exactly what he was wanting. And I think that probably helped and maybe help explain why he's been so effective since joining virtually right away. So I think there's a mix there. I think it would only make sense that was the case. I mean, we all disagreed on just exactly how many players should be coming in, but there will be players coming in regardless to kind of strengthen this and to tweak it. And that, as I always say, and you're sick of me saying it, that's the key for me. As long as it's someone that comes in and can actively strengthen the first team choices are actively better than who's already played the most minutes in that position, or in some way cover the minutes that are departing, that kind of thing. That's the key for me when it comes to strengthening. I'm going to throw a question at first Alison, because I think she'll probably back me up with this one, because she knows what my answer will be. I've seen a few comments. Is Forrest finished?
Not for me, no.
Good stuff.
I think you and I, Sean, are big James Forrest advocates. I think he's been criminally underrated at Celtic at times. I think he's had a difficult season. I think when you look at obviously injury problems and never really been able to work up a head of steam this season. I think he's getting to an age where it's maybe difficult to envisage him now being a first team regular every week. But I think he has a significant amount of experience to offer, and I still think he has something to give in terms of the squad and what he has to offer. I think, if I'm right, I'm going to say I think that might have been his 21st piece of silverware. Last night. It's an incredible roll call of what he has, and I think it would be remiss to discount that level of experience. I also think if he gets a good pre-season, if he's injury free and gets a very good pre-season, then I definitely would still think he has something to offer.
Would you think, Tony?
Oh, he's not finished by a long shot. No way. Because I go back to Strachan always said as well, you can have an influence by being a good teammate, even if you don't feature. You know, and his experience is vital, and he can help other guys who, you know, who are in that team get the best out of them. So, and he'll have a contribution to make when, as Alison says, he's fit. My heart says, don't get him first. My head says, say that. He watched the same thing. Very good, Jason. Yes, indeed. But no, I don't. I'm in agreement. I wouldn't be wanting to leave the club. Let's put it that way. In the summer, I'd keep him on.
Again, as I say, I like Forrest. I think it's kind of almost forgotten just because he's getting older as a winger, which does bring a regression, obviously. But I still think that there's a nice halfway house between the scintillating first choice, can't drop him winger, and a winger who is still able to play a squad role in a season in which you're going to play 3 times a week, 2 times a week, that kind of thing. And I think that's probably the latter where he's probably going to be looking at using him next season. Again, the way that he started that game, says that he can play some part. I'm not saying it's going to be starting, as I say, 3 times a week, but there's still something in there. He's still got another year in his contract, as far as I'm aware. So I think ideally what happens is you don't let him go because, one, you don't know what's happening with Jota right away. So you don't want a Craig Gordon, Fraser Forster, Barkas situation, you know what I mean? You don't let him go for that. 2, the wages he's on at Celtic and the age he's at, nobody's going to pick him up on the wage he's at just now anyway, I would think. So 3, give him the season, get him, as Alison says, a good pre-season, see if he settles into a kind of squad role, and then this time next year revisit it on maybe reduced terms to see out the rest of his career in that kind of capacity. I don't see the harm in that. I don't see the rush to get him out the door at all.
Okay, now we'll end with this. I'm going to ask you a question. Alison, sum up the season in one word.
One word.
Difficult.
Consistent.
Sean?
Fun.
I was going to say relentless myself, but you know what? I've just changed it to joyful. I think it's a good note to end the broadcast on. And I'll just flag up again our sponsors, One Football. Download the One Football app to your phone. The one-stop football shop for scores, news, lineups, transfer rumours, live streaming, match highlights, much, much more. You can enjoy the best personal digital football experience out there by downloading the One Football app, and the link's in the description. And you can also support top quality journalism, as you can see running along the bottom. £3 for the next 3 months. If you just hit the subscribe button, you can join us at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Have a terrific Thursday. Stephen Kelly, champions, one word.
Nah, there's a few comments there, Tony, saying one word. Yeah. Easy. I don't know about that, but
Paul, I'm sure you will get your own word for the season. But as Sean says, it's been fun. I said it's been joyful. Alison said it was consistent. I think all of those apply to Celtic. Enjoy your day, feeling like champions, guys, and we'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again as we preview the Motherwell game. All the best, troops. Take care.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, guys.
Take care.